Hey everyone, welcome to this brand new explainer. Today we're going on a bit of a quest to master what can sometimes feel like a total labyrinth, and that is the housing and residence life travel and purchasing rules. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by university paperwork or, worried about footing a massive bill yourself, well, you are in exactly the right place. Look, we've all been there, right? The strict bureaucracy, the endless forms, the absolute fear of doing it wrong and getting stuck paying out of pocket for a work trip. It's intimidating. But here's the secret. These rules are essentially your ultimate cheat codes for getting the university to foot the bill. Because once you know how to play the game, you can travel, you can learn, and you can bring incredible value back to your department without spending a single dime of your own money. So, here is our survival guide for today. We're going to cover mastering her travel timeline, ghost cards and purchase orders, booking hotels, cars, and flights, returning home and getting reimbursed, and finally, food and everyday office supplies. Let's kick things off with part 1, master your travel timeline, better known as the 1-month rule.
All right, so here is the absolute golden rule for managing your time. If you want to travel in January, you request it in November. February travel, you request that in January. You absolutely must request your travel using the HRL Live-In Staff website form 1 full month before the early bird registration closes. This is totally critical. Why? Because it guarantees you're registered before costs spike and while hotel rooms are actually, still available.
Now, while you're filling out those forms a month in advance, you really need to know the difference between these two terms. Conference dates are the actual days the event is running. But your travel dates, that's the day you leave and the day you return. So most of the time, your travel dates are going to be the day before and the day after the conference. It sounds simple, I know, but getting this distinction right on your paperwork is vital to keeping the whole process moving smoothly. Moving right along to part 2, ghost cards and purchase orders. Let's demystify how we actually pay for things. Enter the ghost card. So, because Housing and Residence Life doesn't just have a general department travel card that you can swipe whenever you want, we rely on a special tool held over in the purchasing office. It's a specific purchasing method strictly reserved for your travel expenses. But to actually use the ghost card, you have a few hoops to jump through. After you receive your purchase order, your PO, you have to set up an official appointment with the travel office. And you can't just show up empty-handed. You need a printed copy of your PO and a specific ghost card form, which is an Excel document that has 3 mandatory tabs. Now, this is super important. Do not mix up these two cards. The ghost card is strictly, and I mean strictly, for your registration, your hotel, and your airfare. That's it. If you need to pay for memberships, office supplies, or just other everyday departmental stuff, that requires a P card. Keeping these separate is honestly the key to keeping the university accountants happy. Think of this as your ultimate cheat sheet. Your ghost card covers airfare, hotel, and registration, provided that registration is actually in the traveler's name. But remember, absolutely no extra meals, no entertainment, and no cool conference t-shirts can be squeezed onto the ghost card. If an invoice is in the name of the conference itself, you'll need a PO to pay for it. And lastly, you'll notice your personal card on here. Keep that in mind because you're going to need it for incidentals, which we'll get into right now. Part 3, booking hotels, cars, and flights. Basically, hitting the road. Okay, for booking your room, you have to follow 3 rigid steps to the letter. First, it's on you to contact the hotel and request their credit card authorization form. Second, you have that form sent directly to travel@ucba.edu, and every single traveler needs their own separate form sent in. Third, you must call the hotel 2 to 3 days before you arrive just to verify they actually received it. And like I hinted at earlier, almost all hotels require a credit card on hold for incidentals at the front desk. The ghost card only covers room and tax, so you've got to put down your personal card for things like meals or room service. When it comes to the actual transit, the rules are pretty cut and dry. For flights, tickets have to be economy class or the equivalent. No upgrades allowed on the university's dime, sorry. If you're hitting the highway in a vehicle rental, every single driver requires their own separate PO. One driver cannot have 2 vehicles on one PO. Oh, and a quick pro tip. Always request a gas card with your vehicle rental. Now, group travel has its own fun little quirks. If you're a full-time staff member traveling with other full-time staff, you cannot share POs. You each need your own. However, if student staff are traveling with you, they absolutely must piggyback on a full-time staff member's PO. If you're sharing a hotel room to save some cash, the cost has to be split between the travelers on their respective POs. And just make sure that final hotel receipt lists every single traveler's name. Which brings us to part 4, returning home and getting reimbursed. You went, You learned, you networked, and now you're back. But before you can fully relax, you have to face the final boss, the reimbursement paperwork. 5. That is the magic number. You have exactly 5 business days once you get back to submit your TR1 form to the travel office. If you want your money back for what you spent on the road, the clock starts ticking the second you return. Seriously, do not sit on this.
So what does that TR1 form actually cover? Well, it covers your meals, but be warned, this is subject to specific city and state per diem rates. You're probably not getting reimbursed for a lavish steak dinner. Ask for the per diem rates before you leave so you don't overeat your budget. It also covers parking, but strictly for conference business. Taxis are covered, but only for transit between the hotel, airport, and conference. If you drove your personal car, you get a per diem mileage rate, not the full cost of gas. And finally, they will reimburse exactly 1 baggage fee. Overweight bags, that's entirely on you.
So that covers the big travel adventures. But you're probably wondering, what about the stuff we do on campus every single week? What about everyday office supplies and campus food? That brings us to our final section, Part 5, Food and Office Supplies or Everyday Purchasing.
If you're hosting an event and you want to request Aramark catering, you've got to use the Aramark food request form at least 2 weeks before your event. I really can't stress this enough. Aramark orders absolutely cannot be placed within 7 days of the event. You have to plan ahead. The department does have a standing PO for these orders, but keep in mind, the funds are pulled directly from your CUBE budget.
And what about end-of-semester travel? Professional development like going to an off-campus restaurant or an activity like bowling? Well, we're bringing back that rhythmic 1-month rule here. You must request this 1 month before you travel. You need an official quote from the vendor. An email will not cut it. And if you're going to a restaurant, you need everyone's exact food order ahead of time. No guessing allowed. You have to ask everyone exactly what they want a full month in advance. Finally, let's talk about basic office supplies. Please, shouldn't be buying these out of pocket. Assistant directors and Heather have P-cards specifically for this. If you need something from Amazon or Staples, just add your items to the designated office supply list. Heather will order them and highlight them when it's done. Now, if you need something large, you need a PO approved by your AD first. And, respecting our favorite rule, that PO requires an official quote with the exact amount, quantity, and description submitted, you guessed it, 1 full month in advance. So, are you ready to navigate university travel and purchasing like a pro without getting stuck with a bill? Mastering these procedures takes a little bit of practice, but once you do, you transform a maze of bureaucratic red tape into a totally smooth, fully funded experience. And with the financial barriers removed, the real question is, where will your professional development take you next? I hope this explainer has empowered you with the knowledge you need. Thanks so much for joining me, and safe travels.